Dwane, that now that Cade is back, the starting unit you envisioned has already played the most minutes, I think, of all Year 5 man lineups. And defensively, if you look at just their small sample size, it would be very good. Only one veteran on that team. What did you see from that group that makes you believe that this could be sustainable for over a long stretch?
Well, one, for me, I think the defensive approach that they have, the ability to switch 1 through 4 effectively, I think that's a positive. Still, I think it's such a small sample size. And the main reason why I say that, James, is Cade's only played how many NBA games? 4, yeah. So it's very hard to predict or judge, even with the data that we have, what's good and what's working, what's not. So a little bit more time with him playing, getting used to the NBA and that group playing together. I do like him handling the ball. They still have to mix it up, he and Killian, especially when teams want to pick him up full court. We've been working on that, how to attack out of that, because that's what teams are doing now, thinking they can get into him. But he's doing a good job now of just beating the coverage and attacking the defense and using their aggression against them. So that's been a positive.
When you look at what Cade's done through 4 games, is this about what you expected from him overall?
No, nowhere even close. He's not. He's just a pup right now, learning the league. Again, I'm not making excuses for him, and I'm as hard on him as anybody. But you miss a month of training camp where you get all the basics. You don't play an exhibition game. Now you come in this league and try to perform. That's difficult to do. So I'm giving him a mulligan on that one, but yet and still, this is nowhere near what he can be and will be as a player. It's just so much to learn, so much to go through for him and for the team when your quarterback is down a little bit. So he has a lot of growing to do, but I have all the confidence in the world he's going to get there because of his ability and his IQ.
How much has he been able to close that gap over the past few days?
It's very difficult for the last few, unless the time will, it'll come. I'm not going to put a timetable on it, but it'll come as far as, how fast he gets up to speed and gets his rhythm and timing, conditioning, the whole 9 yards.
Let's go to it there. A lot is expected of him, but you as a coach, you have to demand a lot from him in the position of the team, from the status. But you have to keep in mind also in the back of your mind that he's always playing catch up. So how do you balance those two different?
Well, it's a tightrope. You know who he is. You know his ability. You know what he's capable of. But yet and still, you understand the problems he's had getting in, catching up. He's missed the training camp. He's missed the exhibition. So I keep that in mind too. But that doesn't keep me from getting on his behind about not doing what he's supposed to do. And again, it's all players, not just Cade. It's the entire team. And I don't treat Cade any different than any other 15 players. So to build that culture, because it's again, our team is not about one player. It's about the Detroit Pistons, and I don't ever lose sight of that. And so I'm going to coach him as hard, but yet and still, any player who's missed time, who's just coming back, who's trying to get the rhythm, I keep that in mind and have a little bit more patience with that person.
Keeping with that, when you came into the training camp, it seemed like you had in mind that you really wanted to take a look at that younger starting 5 as a unit. And you said that you're 1, 2, and 3. There are similar responsibilities there. When you look at who you got of that, you got 2 20-year-olds and Sadiq in the second year. What was your thinking? Is like you knew that young teams or teams that have young ball handlers, there's a lot of growth things. What was kind of your rationale for wanting to keep that young unit together?
Well, it's called a restore, a rebuild, Keith. I mean, it wouldn't be a rebuild if we had veteran guards and veteran wing. So those are the guys we're building with, kind of the cornerstones right now. So that's what you go through. I mean, and we didn't, go out and bring a 10-year vet in to start in that position. So that's part of the growth. And with that growth comes trials and tribulations. And it's not always going to be pretty. It always doesn't come out. Your wins may not be a win of winning the game. You may win by getting better defensively, getting better offensively, getting better connected with as a group. Again, if we do all those things, we grow in those areas, and winning will take care of itself. But those guys are our cornerstones. That's the thought process about keeping those guys together, is let them grow. And then if it comes a point where we see they're not growing, then we have to make adjustments there. But going into this, 9 games or whatever it is, that's the plan of building with that group.
Is there the hope that by keeping them together and then go through this, that kind of the whole process can be sped up a little bit by letting them experience the adversity?
Well, yeah, no question. That's the plan. You always learn through adversity. No one loves winning more than I do, but I also understand that a lot of that growth may not equal to wins. But there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That's what we got to keep in mind of getting there. And again, in the meantime, we want to win. We want to play to win. We want to build winning habits. So, that's our plan right now. But that's where we are.
Along with the young starters, do you have to have, or is that more the reason that you have that second group with so many veterans, so you don't pull your hair out because you're going through the first group, going through those growing pains, and the second group is doing the same thing too, that you want to have some level of experience and some sanity there?
Well, you do, but again, you can't have rebuild and then set your first group, set your guys you're building with down. It doesn't make sense at all. Why might as well just continue to build instead of rebuild. But you got to put those young guys in a position to sink or swim, to learn through adversity, to get game experience and build something that's sustainable. I mean, to piecemeal it, it would take a lot longer if you brought those guys off the bench, put them in, give them minutes here, minutes there, then you'd be crying about, well, how come so-and-so is not playing? How come so-and-so? No, this is our future. These are the guys that we're going to go with, build with. The guys on the second unit are doing a great job of being leaders, supportive, and playing their role. So that's the plan. And that's any plan behind rebuild. Going through it before, why isn't so-and-so playing? Why isn't so-and-so playing? But, we need to rebuild, and you can't have it both ways.
Well, I mean, just tiered in the sense that that second group has, you can see where they play, and we've seen it this year already, that they're playing good stretches of good basketball, and you can't have just all your young guys in the first and second groups and just rebuild and just completely rebuild. You need to have some veteran pieces in there.
You do, yeah. That's if that's where you want to. But the guys we're going with are your young guys. I mean, those are the guys that are getting the major minutes, going to get major minutes. Because there's no use of going through what we're going through if you're going to play the veterans the bulk of the minutes to try to win a game, and then 2 or 3 years down the road, you look around and these guys haven't gotten experience. So we're in it for the long haul. That we all are, and so that's the plan.
We talked about this briefly before with Killian and him getting into a rhythm, and then something happens, whether question, that how do you kind of keep him engaged, not necessarily engaged, but so that his confidence doesn't fall when he comes back and can get back into that rhythm?
Well, that's the unfortunate thing about injuries, Lauren. I mean, I wish I could say, wish he hadn't gotten hurt, but he's gone through it up and down. Now he's got a thumb. He's coming back from that, so he's had an unfortunate series of bumps and bruises, and nothing. Well, concussions is serious, but again, it's up to him and us to kind of get him up to speed, give him extra work to keep his confidence going, keep him propped up until he gets healthy. But he had that all summer, whether it was calf or whatever it was that was up, that kept him from going consistently through the summer. Now he's kind of falling over until the season. So hopefully we get a stretch here with him where he's totally healthy, stays healthy. I wish I had a magic wand to ensure that, but that doesn't always work that way. So hopefully he can go through that, because I thought he had an excellent training camp, played with speed, didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but did everything else, defended, ran the show, played with pace. But but then, here comes the ankle or thumb or whatever, concussion and a series of things.
With Josh, how has he sort of leveled off and become a lot more consistent than last year, maybe, or even before he got here? It seems like this year he's made a focus on just being really staying in the middle and not being too high or too low.
Well, again, he's giving the ball up to the point guard, running the lanes, catching it at the end. That's the best thing with Josh is the fact that he's not trying to do too much. I've always tried to sell him on the fact that you be the beneficiary of a rebound and get it to the point guard and run. Now get it back on the other end. Now you have to make one decision: how am I going to score the ball? But when you got to bring that ball down full court, try to go one-on-one and that's very difficult. He's done a much better job of recognizing that, reading that, keeping it simple, and using his talents. And he's a very talented young man. And people forget, Rod, how young Josh is. He's a young man. He fits in with the timeline of these other young guys that we have. So, you talk about the second unit. He's one of the youngsters on that second unit. So, and Frank's on that. So we do have an abundance of young guys on both teams, both groups.
Piggyback off that, we knew coming into the year there was somebody in that wing rotation who would probably get left out on most nights, and Hamidou so far hasn't played much. Do you see an uptick in maybe practice training sessions from a guy like that when maybe it's clear to him that the minutes might not be there on game day, or do you want to see that?
Well, again, you want to see a guy go out and play well in practice, do his work in practice and make sure he stays engaged. As long as we're saying about Killian, you want those guys to keep their confidence level up because you never know in this league. And I don't care if a guy hasn't played in a month and his opportunity to play, he's going to play if opportunity presents itself. So that's what I tell guys all the time, to stay ready. I'll never forget last year, Ronnie Magruder didn't play for almost 2 months. And then he goes into the Toronto game in Tampa and gets, 25 or 24 points. So you've got to stay ready. That's why they call you a professional, to be ready to do your job. And that's the culture we want to build. That 1 through 15 has to be ready to go. And there's no such thing as a dog house, or it's called, the house of opportunity, if anything else. So come here and get an opportunity.
I don't know if you heard earlier, but Indeed went into the health and safety protocols. When you come off from just playing a team that has so many issues, do you have any concerns? Do you worry, like, okay, maybe we need to test our guys to make sure that we're in a good?
Well, our people are doing a heck of a job of keeping us tested, and I can't remember when the last time we tested, but we're going to test again tomorrow. So we do everything, and as far as, I don't know how many of our guys, I think, if I'm not correct, I may be speaking out of school, but my understanding is a lot of the guys that gotten it have not had the booster. So that's something that we're looking at and working on, is seeing if we can try to get a booster if we can. I'm not sure what the rules are, the laws are, but that's very unfortunate because, again, it's kind of that same team, that group, and you do worry about that. I remember last year when I got it, we just played Utah. And and that's how it kind of, I think I figure that's how Christian got it, and how I got it was interacting with Utah.
I mean, especially when you have a young team that's up to on the road for an extended period of time, and this is, young guys like to go out and do different things. So you have discussions with them about being careful, being a little safer, because the rules say that they can go out if they're.
Well, we should be, Vince. We should be using our going by our rules by wearing masks on the plane, in the hotel lobby, unless you're eating or you're in practice or whatever. So hopefully they're adhering to that. Our training staff does a good job of advising. We're dealing with grown young men, but hopefully they adhere to the rules and adhere to what they're supposed to, because it's not about adherence. It's for health reasons, for life and death reasons in some cases. And so it would be important to go by those rules and be smart and not, hurt your team or hurt your teammates by, becoming infected.
Good.
All right. Thank you.
Houston is a place that has some type of entertainment